We're good. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's call to order the select board meeting for the town of Hanover for August 18th, 2025. Let's begin with agenda review. For select board members, I'd like to highlight that we have both a discussion on property evaluation as well as Norm is going to be participating via Zoom, so it might be helpful for his timing if we put the abatements after his presentation. It's theoretically an action item amidst our discussion, but if the select board is okay with that, and I'm getting some nods, we will reorder accordingly. Any other reordering that select board members might recommend? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, we will move to public comment. This is the period of the agenda. The public is welcome to address the select board. We ask that one address this issue is not already scheduled on the agenda. We ask that individuals restrict their comments to 5 minutes. Questions will be directed to the chair. Are there any members of the public wishing to address the select board at this time?
My name's David Vincelette. I live at 93 Lebanon Street, Hanover. I'm a retired officer from the United States Army. And I have a duty under my oath of office to confront enemies of the Constitution. In this case, I know that the town has violated the constitutional rights of my family and people we were sheltering. So I have to continue to seek help. Today I went to talk to Captain Skoboda at the police department. I had given him a complaint about 13 government officials who knew we were fenced in illegally for two years. There's a conspiracy among many members of the town government, and even some police officers knew that we had been held. Captain Skoboda, instead of investigating, he says he turned the list over to Mr. Houseman because he said he couldn't invest his own police department. So that's kind of interesting that the person I've accused of federal crimes is given my complaint to the police department. He's given it when he's the criminal who shouldn't even be in this office. I had some questions about the board. Is it possible to find out where Jenny Chamberlain works in real life?
David, I think that starts to get personal.
I don't mean like the address or something. I just mean who she works for. What type of work she does.
I think it's pretty public knowledge.
Okay.
Currently,
Yes.
I teach at Dartmouth.
You teach at Dartmouth? And Carrie, how about you? Where do you work?
Retired.
You're retired? What type of work did you do?
Some financial services work.
Okay, thank you. For the government, or was it private sector?
Private sector. I'm not sure where you're going with this though, David.
Well, there's an awful lot of federal stuff going on with this town. Federal crimes, federal cover-ups, a board that's mostly made up of government people who are working for entities that provide federal funding. The town who won't look into federal crimes against my water. Won't protect my water. The college dumped something like $50 million of rehab into the Rennie Farm contamination, all federal crimes. They didn't even get a ticket. They have They sold Prel land with dead ant lab animals on it. Sold the government, ripped off their own government, sold them animal waste. From animal experimentation. Then you have Prel's drop TCE, contaminated that whole area of town with toxic chemicals. Not even a ticket, nothing. But me, the town came to my property and said I was polluting the water through a pipe. We were drinking the water. The town put a $35,000 lien on me, saying I was polluting. It was total bull. You got federal funds come in, Dartmouth does a dance, allows them to pollute all over the place. Nothing happens about it. Meanwhile, 8 years it took me 13 years to get you to stop dumping contaminated asphalt waste in my drinking water. That's a federal crime, and could get the EPA deferred to the DES, and the DES allowed it. Just asked them to stop. Didn't give them any penalties or fines or anything for polluting our water.
John, you're here for the agenda item, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you. Then let's move on to announcements, recognition. I don't believe that at this meeting. So let's move into business requiring discussion, the first of which is the CIP process. John Dolan, Chair of the Capital Improvement Program Committee. Thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate it. And you should have updated handouts in front of you that are a little bit more current than what was, I think, emailed or was attached to the packet.
Yes. Well, good evening. I hope you're all doing well, and thank you for coming out on such a nice summer evening after a long spell of more hot and humid ones. So Carrie and Rob asked me to give you a sense of how the Capital Improvement Program Committee is going to proceed with its review of the projects that are coming up, capital projects that are coming up for the town in the next 3 years. And I'd like to draw your attention first to a spreadsheet that is up on the screen. I think you have hard copies in front of you. And this was an earlier version of this was discussed with the Capital Improvement Program Committee's most recent meeting in July. And what you see here for the next 3 fiscal years are the major projects that the CIPC is going to focus on. And the focus, I think, as you're aware of the CIPC going forward, is going to be what are considered major capital improvement projects. Those are the costs of more than $100,000 and resulting in an asset or an improvement with an expected life of at least 8 years. So all of the items you see on this list meet those criteria, and there are a total of 9 of them over the next 3 fiscal years. Some of them are familiar to you. In FY27, you have the Howe Library improvements that have been on the schedule of capital improvements for several years now. And you also have the Reservoir Road multiple use path. And then after that, in FY28, other familiar ones that you should note: Pump Station number 4, another multiple use path between downtown Hanover and Sachem Village. follow-on work to the storm drainage and sewer capacity studies that were financed in FY26. And then the acquisition conversion from a lease to ownership of solar arrays. And then finally, out in FY29, you've got a water distribution project. And at this point, I can't tell you more than the name of the project. I don't have Pete Vilbaki with us to tell you more if you're looking for that tonight. But I think that what I want to emphasize tonight is the estimated cost that you're going to be dealing with, the town is going to be dealing with. And the main item the most expensive item on this list is a project that is scheduled for FY27, and you know it is the West Wheelock corridor and South Main Street corridor infrastructure improvements. And that's estimated at this time to be about a $27 million project. It would be executed over several years, but starting in FY27 if it goes forward as planned. And I want to point out that that is probably not probably it is almost certainly a very low estimate of what that project is going to cost. The West Wheelock corridor estimate is based on an estimate of hard costs that were included in the proposal for the tax increment finance district that you considered back in the spring. That is just hard costs, so no soft costs included. And the estimate was developed before consideration of tariff-driven price increases could be taken account of. So you can probably consider that estimate of 14 million for just that improvement to be on the much higher side, probably 50 to 100% higher. The South Main Street estimate is a very old estimate. It was presented back in July of 2020, so more than 5 years old, and therefore no accounting for inflation or tariff-driven price increases either, and that's likely to be, again, significantly higher. So you could be looking, when you take account of all the potential increases in that project alone and the other two smaller ones that are still there in FY27, you could be looking at project costs of anywhere from $50 to $60 million for FY27 alone. And then if you take account of everything else that's left in the next 3 years, you're getting up potentially as high as $66 million for the next 3 years. And that's a significant departure from capital spending, capital budgeting for the town from recent years. So it's going to be a case of having to have very good plans, very good cost estimates, and very good criteria for deciding what you're going to proceed with or not, because the investment that's coming up is going to be significant. Any questions on the projects themselves? The list I just showed you. Let's go to the second sheet that you have. And this is a schedule of review for the different capital improvement projects that the committee would like to follow, hopes to follow in the next several months. And the plan is that we would start in August this month by looking at just the projects that are going to be funded for FY27, with excluding the West Wheelock corridor and South Main Street projects. So that really is just two that we would be taking a close look at this month. The Howell Library envelope upgrade and window replacement, and the Reservoir Road multiple use path. And our hope is that we can look at those, make come to agreement on the preliminary recommendation, and then be ready to move on to other projects that will come available to us in the following months. The month of September would be all the projects that are scheduled currently for FY '28. And there are a total of 5 of those. And fortunately, they're relatively smaller cost, and also they've been planned and on the schedule for many years. So there's lots of information, should be lots of information to use to evaluate those. And then October, November comes, and that is the month where it's looking like we're going to see as much as $35 million, and that's the low cost estimate, $35 million worth of projects come before the committee. And that is having those projects come to us and having the information to evaluate them is contingent upon the planning consultant completing its work by late October or early November. But that's going to be the source of the plans, the design, and the cost estimates for those West Wheelock and South Main Street corridor projects. If this schedule is achievable, our aim would be to have all the information we need to work with by mid-November at the latest, and be able to compile a list of recommendations for the capital improvement program for next year by Thanksgiving. And then we would aim to write our full report, draft it in December, and complete it and deliver it to you in January or by February 1 at the latest.
Thank you, John. And Jenny and I both sit on the committee, which is terrific. So we've heard some of this before, but just for the benefit of the board and the public, this is a departure from prior year's practice in a couple of respects. One is the CIPC is taking an intensive 3-year view as opposed to a 1-year view, so the time frame is greater. Second is there's a paring back of scope so that we're not looking at the sub $100,000, which we had, well, the committee had been sort of folding in, not necessarily spending a lot of time looking at it, but it was the totality of spending. This will be a subset of total spending, although, as John pointed out, by far biggest piece.
It was actually just those 9 projects account for 93% of all the dollars on the list of capital improvement spending.
Okay, so there may be a little bit more that we want to budget for, obviously. So, and then just the magnitude, as John pointed out. So, and just as a reminder, not that we need a reminder on this for this board, but I think last year, I think we all learned the importance of really communicating broadly with all the constituencies that would be impacted in the context of the TIF district, but I think regardless of the financing mechanism that is pursued, we still want to have that dialogue, whether it's a straight bond or TIF or any other mechanism. Just a couple observations. Questions for John?
I have a question. I don't really know what the MUP is from downtown to Sachem. I didn't know that was actually a project. That's what this is. So that's the WAG.
So the portion that goes from Sachem to downtown is the component that's in CIP. We're funding the study. We're a co-funder of the study. And the outcome will be how we connect the Dunster neighborhood, Sachem, to the downtown, and ultimately to the Greenway, if that goes.
Okay.
We want to speak to this afterwards.
Okay. All right. Okay. Questions? Okay.
I have another comment I'd like to make, and this is a departure from the schedule and the project list that I've just reviewed with you. well, I do have to refer to the schedule. You'll notice two lines are highlighted in yellow on the schedule. One is the award of the contract to the planning services consultant, who is going to be the main investigator, developer of plans and cost estimates for the town for the West Wheelock Corridor and South Main Street improvement projects. The award of that contract has not yet occurred. It's expected to happen soon, sometime this month. But the award of that contract and the prompt start of the consultant's work is going to be determinative about whether that second yellow highlighted line is achievable, whether we're going to be able to have the kind of information we need to, as a committee, to evaluate those projects and make recommendations, ask questions, make recommendations to the town. I've been through 2 cycles now with the committee. The first one saw a kind of rush to throw a lot of different project proposals at the committee at the 11th hour in our first year. By 11th hour, I mean mid-late February, when we were trying to complete a report that you could use to finalize the budget for town meeting. And then last year, we did complete our report, but then the TIF district, which featured the West Wheelock and South Main Street corridor projects, came forward. And again, it ended up being postponed, but it came after we completed our work, after our report was out there. And if it had gone forward as presented, it would have added, it would have increased the capital appropriations that would have been considered and recommended to town meeting by a factor of 10. And the CIPC would have had no say in that or view of it before that happened. So I want to express my concern that the CIPC, that you as the select board and Rob do everything you can to ensure that the information that we need, especially for these enormous expensive projects that are coming up, that the information we need comes to us in a timely manner. I, for one, do not want to find the CIPC receiving all the information for $35 million worth of projects in February and being expected to turn around our assessment and our recommendations to you in a few weeks. That would be a disservice to the town, and it would not be good policy making. So please do everything you can to expedite the preparation and delivery of the information that we need, you need, finance committee needs, and ultimately town meeting will need to consider these very expensive investments that are on the horizon.
Message received. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to the revaluation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jack, do we owe you anything? Like last year, we talked about giving like explanations, but I think everything's on the list and everyone's in the loop. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
about like projects that didn't get funded. There was a desire for the select board to weigh in and
I think that was a recommendation we made for future
going forward.
practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Robin, do we have Norm? There you are.
Oh,
Hello.
Hello.
So,
How's everyone doing?
Good. Hang on one second though, Norm. Yes.
so,
Joanna.
I mean, I think John raises a good point that we don't have a contract and we basically, he's saying it would be nice to have this stuff in 2 months. I don't think that's realistic from my perspective.
We're gonna, I don't mean to cut you off, finish.
So, I mean, I just think that we should all be aware that these are really complicated projects and that it's gonna take some time, and I just don't think that we should be sitting on the edge of our seat for a report in October when we don't have a signed contract.
So John and I communicated about this earlier today.
Okay,
And what I said to him was, once I've issued the contract.
Yep.
I'll make the request to see what they can do to expedite the process, and I'll report back.
I just wanted all of us not to be having rose-colored glasses on it, because
It's
contractors, I mean, the designers are swamped, so.
understood. Yeah, so there's some nuances we're working through, and then as soon as I get that out, we'll push that question to see what we get for a response.
Yeah, but the point's well taken that we need sufficient time on the back end after receiving the information to vet, to process, to solicit opinions from various constituencies. It's all that takes time and needs some breathing space. So we will, I'm sure, be revisiting the schedule. So and we need to make sure we can fit it all in. So thank you, John.
I guess I have a question about that, because we haven't done the 3-year visioning yet. And I know in an ideal world, you'd want things for all. Is there a framework where there are more like softer numbers in the future because the future is more uncertain, or how do you conceptualize that?
What the committee has, it was really our only choice to do is the last 2 years, we made recommendations only for capital expenditures in the next fiscal year. And even though there are many other capital assets and asset purchases and projects planned for 6 years out, which is the period of the capital improvement program. We specifically stated in our report that we would make no recommendation on anything after the next fiscal year. So so far for 2 cycles, we've kept moving a list out and saying that 5 out of the 6 years for that list, we, the capital improvement program, don't have the information or the bandwidth to evaluate those other 5 years and say anything about them. That worked okay because the items that we've been dealing with for the last couple of fiscal years have been mainly asset replacements, relatively small capital expenditures, and well planned, I think, by the town manager and the DPW director. But this is different. What's coming up? We are looking at several multi-million-dollar, multi-year projects coming up in the next 3 fiscal years, and this was the recommendation of the committee. We don't think it's appropriate for us to just focus on 1 year coming and not begin to look out farther and make recommendations about what's out at least 3 years. In an ideal world, we'd probably try to do it for all 6 that are included in the program, but we'll start with 3 and see how we do.
Thank you. And I think also with some of those longer lived projects, if you're talking about bonding, that requires taking it through town meeting and having a vote.
Yeah.
And so those things demand
And
earlier attention.
And that requires time for selling the projects in the bond.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John. Norm. So the next agenda item is the revaluation. Rob, did you want to introduce this?
Sure.
Okay.
As you know, we're in our reval year. The values have been sent to the homeowners, all property owners, and We're in the process of scheduling meetings to address questions or concerns raised. Norm is online tonight to speak to the process, what we have out there for information on our website, the number of scheduled appointments he has, and any issues that I already identified in the process. With that, Norm, let me hear, can you hear us okay?
But yeah, I can hear you. I can hear actually everyone better than you, Rob, but that's not unusual. And I want to thank Rob for allowing me to present. I have family from Texas that have my great grandnieces and nephews came to visit, and I appreciate being able to do this. And they only had one day to see me, and this was it. And so I will get to business, and I appreciate being able to do this via Zoom. It's a great tool. Anyways, so the process is we sent out letters a week ago Friday. People got them over the weekend and the beginning of the week. So far, we've scheduled 75 appointments, either via Zoom or mostly in person. And I'm training Jerry, who's never been through this process, to understand how we communicate with the public and the taxpayers. And we have probably 140 slots in total available the next 2 weeks. Obviously, it kind of fell off the end of last week, but people came back from vacation, and Monday was very busy. I had 14 appointments today, 14 appointments tomorrow, and then it kind of goes downhill a little bit. But I expect we'll have more. And the part of the process is we're not going to stop hearing people. They will all be heard. Whether we have a deadline for submitting our what we call our MS1, which is our reporting to the state, so we get a tax rate set. But we will always hear people and their concerns. And part of the process is it's a vetting process. We will make mistakes, and we will find out what those mistakes are by through this vetting process. And we're able to correct them prior to submitting our information to the state and avoiding any abatement applications that may arise because people weren't heard. So this is the way I've always worked, and I think it's a good process, and we'll be fine on that amount. So in the old days, we used to have about 10% of our properties had informal reviews, and we have 3,600 parcels, and we're only at, again, 75, and which is, a very low number. So I think, we're doing very well. Some people have already canceled their appointments after actually looking at all the information we have on the website. And they really looked at, what is their market value, and they've talked to other professionals, and everything is going really good. It's very, very calm as opposed to 2018, and actually even better than 2021 when we, did the assessment that we were ordered to do by the Board of Tax and Land Appeals. So we've only had 75 scheduled appointments, and in 2018 there were 300 abatements. So I think we're in a good spot. I've done this for a long time, and we listen to the people, and we vet it, and we make the corrections that we have to make because we do make mistakes. With that said, if we have to go into September, if we have a rush, we will hold off on submitting the MS1, for a week or so to hear the people we have to hear, make the decisions we have to make, and then make those corrections, and then submit the MS1 for our tax rate setting. And the process isn't over there. We'll still listen to people, and they will be able to, if we've made a mistake and they were late for that process, we will inform them to file an abatement after they receive their fall tax bill, and we'll address it. It's pretty simple from our perspective. So all the values, on average, not all the values, but on average, they went up 1.44 times. And so we're dealing with the people that obviously went up more than 1.44 times. We're actually dealing with people that went up less than that, but when we explain the process and they come in to meet with us, they leave, actually pretty happy if they went up less than 1.44 times. So that's where we're at right now. If I could share my screen. So let me go here. Went backwards, I think. Rob warned me about this.
How's that, Norm?
I'm trying to, Rob Hostman, I see you. I'm trying to share the revaluation screen and I went one step too far. Let me go back.
I have it up on the screen for you.
Okay, thank you. So what we did was we in the letter, we directed folks to the assessing department page. And on the left, there's the 2025 revaluation. So when you go to that, everyone can see this, right?
Yep.
So we have frequently asked questions, and then my sort of note to the assessor, from the assessor to the taxpayers talking about the 1.44 average increase. And then this is all the analysis. So these folks can go and look at by building size, by building type, all the condominiums, how they, all the sales that were used in the analysis, the summary by land use and by neighborhood. We divide the town into various neighborhoods, obviously going from the more valuable downtown walkable distance to the more rural areas. And then we look at time. So we started out in this process looking, I started this last fall, and we were starting from 2023, sales that happened in 2023. And then to get rid of the time part of it, we ended up using sales from 4/1/24 to 4/1/25, but we still considered sales that happened earlier as the market has sort of slowed down a little bit. So we're looking at really looking at 24 to 25 to get close to 100%. And the best thing we got going here is a little tool that we have where all taxpayers and residents can go in and look at this Power BI, which is an incredible tool. So it has all these are radio buttons or times that you can look at, and once you start moving the buttons around, you can look at qualified, unqualified sales, the type of land use, the neighborhood you're in, the amount of bedrooms. You can analyze houses that have 3 bedrooms, and then automatically it brings you up the results of the median assessed value. The median sale price, the median assessed value for all these different 3-bedroom homes, and what the median ratio is for those types of properties. You can immediately switch to 4, and this is right from our data. So, and it tells the price per square foot that it sold for. This is a really great tool, and taxpayers are using it. And then we have our reports. We thought we had an error last Thursday afternoon, so we dropped the reports from the website and made sure that they were correct. They've been brought back up by location, by owner, by map and lot. And then the scheduling tool is right here. Most people, some people just email us or call us, and we direct them back to the site. So we have a record of who made the appointments. And so it's going really well, in my opinion. We had our first day today. I spent the whole day. I had 14 appointments today, talking with people every half hour. The same thing happens tomorrow. And then slows down a little bit, but I always wait for the other shoe to drop. And the way I operate is we listen to everyone, we finish the process. If people need an inspection, I'm sending Jerry out there with the issues that we need to address. And then we take all this information, we vet it, we make decisions, and then send everyone letters to if their values have changed based on the meeting. Sometimes it's a whole neighborhood issue where we might have overestimated a neighborhood, and we'll send the whole neighborhood a letter if we change the whole neighborhood. So right now, I think things are going good. I always say let the process play out, and we're here to work with the folks. We don't have a dog in the fight, and we're here to do what's right. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. I'm here to answer any questions.
Norm, for the benefit of our huge viewership on this channel, maybe you can summarize some of the trends so that people get the context that they need. I mean, either by property type or neighborhood, or where are the ups and where are the downs, and just so people have some perspective.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, residential went up 1.44 times, which people don't understand. And our assessment ratio was 70%. So what that means is the factor to get to 100% is pretty much 1.44. So our ratio is driven by the residential properties because that's the lion's share of all the sales. Commercial property in the downtown is valuable. It's we're one of the more valuable places in the whole state. But the problem is the dynamics, the economics of commercial property are not the same as residential. So they didn't go up anywhere near. They're going to see a tax reduction because the rate is going to drop dramatically. When you look at what the rate is now, it's gonna drop a lot. So those properties aren't going to go up the 1.44%. So when the rate drops, their assessments are going to go down. Condos, we were a little aggressive in 2021. We were a lot closer to 100% than say 95, 96% in 2021 for all other residential. So those, have gone up in value, but they haven't gone up quite as much as residential because we were higher to begin with. So they're going to see, not much of a change. Besides that, large multifamily properties, some of the Dartmouth property, is kind of mirroring the residential property for the most part, and West Wheelock, because of the zoning change, has gone up substantially. And I've been in pretty much contact with all the folks that own property there, and it's sort of that's been presented to them prior to this. So we're working through any issues that may be there. So for the most part, if your assessment goes up more than 1.44%, you're going to see an increase in your taxes. If it goes up less than 1.44%, you're going to see a decrease in your taxes.
Norm, you distinguish between condos and residential. So are those condos for commercial?
No, I'm talking about the residential condos.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of the commercial condos went up a little bit downtown because there were a lot of factors that were used in there. So I've gone through all that and vetted all that. And for instance, you have condos that some have elevators, some don't. So they don't necessarily rent for as much as a condo with an elevator. There's not many of those, but that have elevators. But there is a difference because if your clients can get to the second, third floor with an elevator versus walking upstairs, the rent isn't as the rent charged to rent that office space or whatever it is a little less. So the economics on a commercial condo or a commercial retail or restaurant are different than residential real estate.
Well, my understanding is that the tax rate is probably gonna come out around October, is that correct?
I didn't hear that well.
When will the tax rate be set?
The tax rate, we will submit an MS1 in early September. And what happens is we always wait for the school or the county or the state. Some of the variables in the tax rate are the rooms and meals taxes and the money we get back from the state are some of the variables in the final outcome. So we're expecting sometime in October, but we're in great shape because everyone's gonna know what their assessment is, what their impact is, and the tax rate will be set. I would expect that the Department of Revenue has gotten a lot better at setting tax rates, a lot quicker than they used to be. They used to come to the community with a laptop and do it there. Now it's all pretty much online. And Ellen knows, she deals with the person from the Department of Revenue who deals with that. So I would expect, sometime in October, but we'll have bills out by, I would anticipate by December 1st, which is usually the date they're out. They have been out later from time to time, but that's for many different reasons.
Second select board meeting in September, we get updates on the MS 434 and MS 535, and I believe at that meeting, typically, we have a say in how much is going to go toward the tax rate, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, I expect that I will report to Ellen and Rob what the grand list is going to be, and she will have that number in anticipation of that meeting. And if everything goes well, if we don't get a flurry of people that want to talk to us in early September, you will get a finalized MS1 that you will review and sign as one of your obligations as a select board, so we can submit it to the state and get that part of the process rolling.
Anything else for Norm? And Norm, don't go away because we are going to turn to the abatements next. But before we do that, are there any other questions, Norm, related to revaluation? No. Okay. Okay. So we are going to turn to business requiring action, which includes the abatements. And this is in your memorandum.
It is page 2 and 3 of my unnumbered page 2 and 3.
Sorry. Yep. Okay, so this is Hammond Properties on 23 Greensboro Road, Hanover Stotts, Road.
They're put out of this. I don't see. Okay.
It's actually.
Thank you.
These went to the advisory board, Norm, is that correct?
On July 31st,
July 31st. Okay.
which is 2 weeks ago. Board met and we did the abatement for Bridgman Realty Trust and CTR Buck Road. And it was recommended these abatements, the assessor, the advisory board approved it unanimously after discussing why and wherefores.
So these are the three here.
What,
But did we get the right stuff with that?
Do you want me to briefly comment or?
Barb, you do it.
Yeah, so,
I'm looking at the agenda from the 31st.
Yeah. Yes. These are.
yeah, would you like me to comment?
Yes. Oh,
So,
sorry.
Bridgman Realty Trust, this is an example of a commercial property.
Wait a minute, Norm. So, in our select board packet, we're looking at different abatements.
Norm, we received information from Sue while you were on vacation. And it was Hammond Properties, 23 Greensboro Road. Dodds, 174 Etna Road. And Hutton and Baker, 91 3 Mile Road.
That was these are recommendations in May, Norm.
Yes, yes, because the board is advisory, and until the minutes are approved, we don't send that to the select board.
Okay.
And the select board is the ultimate.
No, I'm way off base.
But are you both?
Sorry.
You're both right.
No, I passed my bedtime. Sorry, everyone. I'm looking, we're acting on them. So the Board of Assessors met May 14th and reviewed these three, approved them, and then the minutes were approved at our July 31st meeting. So once the minutes were approved, then it comes to this board. So that's what we're doing.
That's correct.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Should we get a motion?
Yeah, we should have a motion.
I move to approve the abatements recommended by the Advisory Board of Assessors. This is a suggested motion. We should have a date on it.
When was the date of the May meeting?
May 14th.
May 14th meeting. Sounds like that was amended. Is there a second? Sorry, Jared seconds. Is there any conversation around this topic? Seeing none, I will call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you, Norm.
Have fun with your nephews and nieces. Grandnephews.
They're probably in bed by now, huh?
Well, I hopefully, yeah, they're still awake. They're from Texas, so yeah, it's great. They're great nephew and niece. Yeah, one's 3 and one's 1, and I'm just honored that they came and wanted to see us. They came to Connecticut and they made the trip up to New Hampshire to see Uncle Norm and Auntie Jen, and I really appreciate it. But I do want to say that I look better in person than on camera.
Don't we all?
Noted. Thanks, Norm.
Thanks, Norm. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Let's move on to third topic, guidance on SB 62 and HB 511 in cooperation with federal immigration prohibiting sanctuary cities policies. And pass this along. Rob, you want to just comment on this?
Sure. NHMA put out this report in a way to help guide communities. I haven't figured out how to include information for the board FYI in your packet. This is one of those FYIs. Something that's transpired since this was published, or actually before this was published, was not a US Supreme Court, but a state Supreme Court decision finding it unconstitutional to impose these types of restrictions. I think it was Ohio. Our attorney is evaluating that. A host of counties and states are looking at that legislation to see if that action, to see if there's something we can tease out from it. And in the meantime, we're evaluating our ordinances with the expectation that we present some language to you if there is a need to change prior to the punitive penalty kicking in, which is January. And my hope is I have a report to you by our second meeting in September.
So while this is listed as business requiring discussion, we are not required to discuss it at this time. This is just advisory, and we will be discussing in the future.
If you have questions for me.
No, I'll just, I mean, I think you already answered it, but I'm asking again. At the last meeting, we talked about this. What I'm personally looking for is my non-lawyerly reading of our ordinance is that we are not in compliance. So therefore, I really look for Laura et al. To give us advice in that.
I went through the ordinance in detail after the last meeting, highlighted what I thought were 6 key issues that appear to be in conflict with the statute, forwarded that to council for review, where that review is pending. I'll get that to you shortly. I'm not going to just take my 6 points, but the broader ordinance and dive into it specifically.
How much do we get from the state funding?
About $300,000 right now. 2.5% on the tax rate.
2 now. 75, no, that's not.
It's 120,000
Percentage.
per percentage.
So 75,000, as Jared just said.
I said 300,000 in state dollars, be a 25% penalty. So yes, 75,000.
So it's half.
0.5%.
6%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Penalty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If they pursue,
Choose to enforce it.
choose to enforce it. The Attorney General's office has the ability to file a complaint and enforce it.
Thank you, Rob.
Risk is triggered after January. I do want to point out that in the email I sent you all 2 weeks ago, that we are no longer listed as a sanctuary city at the federal level.
Yeah. This is like make work for, I mean, the people who are loving this administration are the lawyers, man. Making money. Thank goodness.
Unless there's anything else on that, we will move on to item 5D, request from New Hampshire Bike Walk Alliance for town support of legislation. And it's bike alliance, but I know we have a bike walk committee in town as well. Rob, you want to speak to this first? I know, I would imagine Jenny probably wants to talk to this. But Rob, you want to start us off? Yep.
So that, I think sequencing wise, there was a request to add this to the agenda. I happened to take Tuesday afternoon, Thursday morning off, so the agenda was set early. I was able to get this portion put in there for your consideration. Hanover Bike Walk, the New Hampshire Bike Walk Alliance is looking for legislative change that would enable reduction of the baseline speed limits down from 25 with the study to 20. And the proposed language is in your packet. Jenny forwarded a document to support that. It's in front of you tonight to explain the rationale. Reduction of speeds is improved safety. I think the process that we're being asked to support, you're being asked to support the legislation as it goes forward. They're looking for sponsors, legislative sponsors at this time, and communities to support the proposed legislation. The request tonight would be, if you have enough information to support your legislation, the proposed legislation. I want to speak. Steal your thunder, Jenny.
Yeah, I think that sums it. So basically the federal guidance now is to allow for appropriate speed limits when it's warranted. So an example would be on where there are lots of people in a high conflict area. And right now, what prohibits communities from setting appropriate speed limits is state law. So several states have already adjusted their law, actually allowing down to 15 miles an hour generally. And they've seen improvements in safety. So it doesn't change the process, it just changes what is a somewhat arbitrary floor that's acknowledged at a national level as inappropriate for certain contexts.
They're in favor.
They're not in favor.
I don't know the legislative schedule and when it's critical for this board to have throw its support behind it. I do know the politics of the game at the state level is that there's always hope to have bipartisan sponsorship and leadership perhaps to be Republican. So that effort is underway, and I'm not sure that it's critical that you take action tonight, but perhaps it may be appropriate to ask for the Mike Watt committee to take a formal, make a formal recommendation to you and take it up on our next agenda.
Of my ignorance. So if a neighborhood has a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, that's against the law.
Well, it's against the law to enforce the speed limit based on the sign. The speed limit is whatever is appropriate for the context. Except that's very difficult to enforce, so they tend to go by the sign. But you can't actually go by, your sign. It's been a long-standing practice in Hanover to post speed limits below 25 miles an hour. In Jarrett's neighborhood is one example, posted at 15. We also have like some narrow turny streets, like School Street, that are posted at 20 miles an hour. We have a lot of private roads that are posted that are, open to the public, that are posted at 10 or 15 at Guile, at Hanover, Old Puck. Stores is 25.
Oak Hill Road?
Oak Hill Road. Oh, okay.
I think it's.
Yeah. So it's also in keeping with our master plan, but and federal guidance. So federal guidance has acknowledged that it's not only important that we set appropriate speed limits, that there is this impediment that state law prevents communities from doing so. So in a New Hampshire way, it's a very in favor of, in some way of local control. It's context sensitive solutions.
Except when it comes to ice
So the short answer is the New Hampshire statute sets the baseline speed limit at 30 miles an hour, allows it to go no lower than 25.
And this,
School zone can go down 10 more miles an hour when the school zone,
Session.
the school zone's
15 minutes before and after school. Yeah.
So that.
And this came across after our Hanover Bike Walk meets again on the 8th. Because it's the second Monday. This came in after that. And I didn't get an answer back I just know they're looking for co-sponsors, and it tends to be a pretty bipartisan issue. So hopefully they'll be able to find, any sponsors.
We can certainly reach out to our legislative delegation, but I think my recommendation would be to, ask the Hanover Walk Bike Group committee to give you guidance on this and take a formal position on it.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And I think it's good to have this cadence of 2 readings, and this is kind of a reading. But just because sometimes, even though this sounds unimpeachable, there's sometimes people who want to have a different view. They might want to express it. So. Okay, thank you. So this, Okay. Okay, move now to business requiring action, the first of which has to do with tax warrants for outstanding taxes and tax liens. And this is a little bit of a technocratic subject. Guess I'll turn it over to Rob.
Absolutely. The tax collector, when they depart, you're supposed to do an audit and then recommit the taxes that are the obligations that should be, that fall under that umbrella. We haven't done that in recent past. I don't know if it's happened previously in my tenure here, in the 9 years. But with the change that happened downstairs fairly recently, we decided we were made aware of the recommittal process. Our auditors performed a report. The good news is we have a clean report. Everything's where it should be. And what we're doing tonight would be to authorize the recommittal of taxes and continue the collection of those taxes.
What kind of motion?
I make a motion to authorize the continued collection of taxes. Is that enough, or do you need more?
I think
Oh, we have it here. I move that the select board following RSA 4136A approve and sign the recommittal tax warrants for outstanding taxes and tax liens as detailed in final MS 61 tax collector's report for the period December 9th, 2024 through April 29th, 2025 in the total amount of $168,566.64 and authorize the new tax collector to proceed with collection. Any discussion or any seconds?
I'll second that.
You'll second that. All right. Is there any discussion? No. All right. Call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Next up. Yes.
It's a weird one. I'm glad we're following the rules. It was keeping Athos up at nights.
Yeah. That's a tough one to wing motion.
Yeah.
forward to.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yes. Next up is approval of consultant contract for Selectboard training. So we have in here a proposal from Mark Jacobs. We met with Garrett and myself, separately met with Jenny and myself. And this is for board training session and a goal setting session. And later tonight, but we'll probably do this in the non-public just for the benefit of our ratings, because this is extremely boring. We'll compare calendars and try and get this figured out, but let's not do that now. But hopefully you had a chance to look at the contract. Questions, comments, concerns, this is the time. She's charging us $1,500 per session, including all of her prep time.
contracts for a total of $3,000.
Thank you.
And is this New Hampshire fellow or specialist? I'm forgetting his name.
Cordell Johnson.
Yes.
He's prepared to assist in the training. He worked for NHMA for many years. It's subject to getting coordinated calendars that work for all of us, including Cordell.
Because it seemed like Marty's contract was based on,
Cordell's
Yes.
Yes.
Which would be additional, so, yeah. Okay. Good, all right. Is there a motion?
Did you write it for us?
It was written.
Yeah, I was, I lost it, yes.
Hard to get back in the swing.
For the consultant.
Second.
And I think the only discussion is about, like, is it pending Cordell Johnson's meeting with us ahead of time? Is that what you mean? Like, that's how she wrote the contract, but do we need to clarify that?
Well, I think the goal would be to do a 3-hour session, the first hour with Cordell, the second 2. And that's how we're structuring. So when I say all of us having a calendar that agrees, it's Cordell, Marty, and the 6 of us.
It's like herding feral cats.
Yes. All right, motion on the table, further discussion. All those in favor?
I,
Okay, thank you. Okay, we turn next to
Minutes.
the consent agenda.
You need
Well,
minutes.
Read the
Oh, sorry,
minutes on the 7th.
Yeah, yes, okay. July 7 minutes. Is there a motion?
Move to accept July 7 minutes.
Okay, all right. Comments?
Sure I was here.
Yes,
Yes, I was.
long time ago. Long gap.
That's good. Yeah.
Nice gap. Yes, it was. Yes, it was, all right. Unless there are any further comments, let's move the motion. All in favor?
I,
Okay. Jenny, were you in on that?
Yeah, I think I looked at them earlier. I just don't have them figured out now.
Do you want to,
Um,
let's hold off on your vote? So,
While Jenny's looking at them,
Sorry.
did everyone receive the Diligent Communities link to the packet?
no,
no. I could open links, but because I didn't successfully download all the separate documents, so I couldn't like double
So
check.
we'll make sure that
yeah, I had trouble the prior meeting, getting set up for, anyway, so.
we're gonna launch the public facing element of that, so there'll be a hot button link to our website.
Okay.
So if you as a select board member need to create an account with Diligent Communities, because there isn't a component to allow for non-public documents to be shared. If you hadn't set up an account, you wouldn't be able to log in, but
Yeah,
with
so,
with the hot button link, you'll be able to access everything that the community can access.
Jenny,
I thought I had added what we talked about, like just like listed little things. The Selectboard reports.
I realize we're statutorily, but
yes,
considering everything is available on YouTube to review anyway.
well, we're sitting with four ayes and one no vote. What would you like to do?
Oh, I thought I had sent additions that aren't in here. That just was a record, but there's nothing like wrong with them. They're just less complete than.
Yeah.
I could just punt till next week too, if you wanna add stuff to it. I don't feel compelled to
Yeah,
vote, so
I mean, that-
if you wanna add some more material, and we can just take it up next.
So we're going to cancel this. Can we do that?
Do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is anybody really? Let's move on.
They're technically not the official record of the board until they're voted. And so you have the ability to have them sit out there as draft until they're finalized.
Okay, would you like to do that, Jim? Should we come back to the next meeting? That's fine. Okay, right, so we will cancel this vote, we didn't quite complete because one member did not vote, so we will take this up again at the next select board meeting. Okay, all right, let's move on to the consent agenda then. We do have some donations, which we're going to want to call out. Are there any items for which select board members would like to pull out from the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and would someone like to thank our donors?
I'd like to recognize Eric and Susan Shirley for their $200 donation to the Underwood Library, the Byrne Foundation for their $4,500 donation to the 4th of July celebration, Hanover Brick and Brew, $250 to adult athletic programs, and Roger Clarkson Realty for $250 for adult programs. Thank you, donors.
Terrific. Okay, thanks very much. We will turn now to select board reports. Start with Jenny.
Going backward.
I know, well, I mix it up a little bit. Yeah.
This is not a select board report, but the Regional Planning Commission met, they had their annual meeting. And they stressed it's important to show up for the 10-year plan. It will be in our region soon for transportation. They think sometime in October or November. It's not posted yet. It's typically in Lebanon. So it's good to have representatives there, if possible town staff there. Usually Lebanon makes a big show, and Lyme, the New Hampshire communities, and Enfield. They thought it was particularly important, just given what's going on at the federal level, to show up for the 10-year. They said there are big cuts coming up. So in order to have our communities represented, we need to show up. But the good news is the Transportation Alternative Program, the TAP program, is still going strong. And then there was also a really big presentation. I don't know how much it applies to us, but UConn has created all these free services to assess and measure brownfields. So if we need any of that, they have resources available and people available. Sustainable Hanover has a bunch of stuff coming up. They're co-sponsoring an EV Expo, which is in Lebanon behind City Hall on Saturday, September 30th, 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. So you can learn all about anything, any type of electric mobility. They're doing a climate event on Ledyard Bridge called Sunday, on a Sunday, about solar energy, September 21st at 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they're inviting people to come and join them in celebrating sustainable energy. They're co-sponsoring the Dartmouth, and with Dartmouth is also involved in a local solutions conference. Dartmouth and Antioch College are hosting a local solutions conference, which is for all of the semi-regional local municipalities to come and learn about what people are doing on the ground locally. That happens every other year, and Sustainable Hanover is going to be presenting some of what our town is doing, and in engaging with our town staff as well to present what we're doing. And then August 30th is a yard sale.
When was that?
Oh, the local solutions is September 18th and 19th, 2025. And the Sustainable Hanover is hosting like a walking tour on the Friday, I think at like 4 p.m. Sorry, I don't have that written down. I should know
We're
that.
meeting again. for
Yes.
that, so.
Yeah, there's gonna be multiple walking tours in Hanover, and Sustainable Hanover is hosting one and then also co-sponsoring part of the conference, and they're sending people to the conference as well. So that's exciting. It's a chance to do a collab with other New England towns, basically. The yard sale is always really, really popular and raises a bunch of money for Sustainable Hanover and helps just tons of households, and whoever wants to sign up, it costs $25. There's a big yard sale on it's a Dewey parking lot on August 30th. And so if you want to register, I'd say register early because I think they do actually run out of space to get so many people coming. Great place to get yarn, old furniture, all kinds of things. And then they talked a lot about CPCNH energy. You know, people noticed that the rates were a little higher than Liberty now. And they had a big presentation with our Director of Public Works, who's very involved with managing the risk about, because of when prices are set, how that can sometimes happen. But community power is going strong, is growing still, and looking forward to not only just more future savings, but more investments in sustainable energy production. You see, Hanover Bike Walk made as part of like an ongoing campaign, a rollout of this Roll Mobility app. And this is exciting news because we've had like wheel maps before, but Roll Mobility is like an app where people who have mobility issues can look up ahead of time whether a place is accessible and either give people feedback about when they're not. And it seems to be catching on in a way that other apps haven't. We haven't had it catch on yet in our town, and we're hoping to do something with that, which brings me to the next thing is a week without driving is coming up again. And I've left the letters on the printer, but Hanover Bike Walk, I will hand deliver them to you. Hanover Bike Walk is inviting the select board to participate again. And this year, in addition to America Walks hosting it, Vital Communities is promoting it, as well as the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission and the New Hampshire State Coordinating Council for Community Transportation and Regional Coordination Council. So there's a big push, and the whole idea, it's a week without driving. It's September 29th to October 5th. It's not a week without riding. You can get in a car. The idea is just to understand the challenges and barriers that are faced by people who don't have the ability to drive themselves, which is nationally 20 to 40% of people, and in Hanover, significantly more. The Conservation Commission approved the Girl Brook permit. They did a special walking tour with our town manager, Robert Hausman, and we're very pleased to learn about the rare species that will likely flourish more if the trail is improved. And then they've been very busy cleaning mold off of bridges and sanding bridges and monitoring. There's a bunch of really exciting projects actually that they're doing where they have UVM has planted all these oak trees, these saplings, to see what species they can continue growing as climate changes. And the red oak saplings are doing very well. So that's really exciting. And another thing they're doing is they're doing a whole course on how we can learn about our forests and our environment using different drone technology. And they're going to be recording that so that people can learn from that course in the future through JAM. So that was exciting. And that's all I got.
Jenny,
Um,
Joanna?
well, we should celebrate, Jarrett and Jenny and our great host families for welcoming our sister city, Nihamatsu,
Yes.
in late July, and Jarrett welcomed them on late Friday night. And then, no, he was here early,
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning.
Yeah, it wasn't too.
And then on Monday, they came to town hall and they got a lose the lake, little treat. And we exchanged gifts, and Jenny shared her skill with Japanese and welcoming them, and there was a nice exchange. So that was kind of cool, and I forget the woman's name who organized it, but Emma seemed to do a great job. Everyone seemed happy.
Yep.
So I think we talked about, we got a beautiful lithograph.
It's on the wall,
Yes.
just outside the
It's
meeting.
really very nice, and we might want to up our game in terms of
Yeah.
gifts next year, next time they come. Reminds me. So that was on the 28th. The trustees of trust funds met, well, everyone knows that the advisory board of assessors met on July 31st. And we considered 2 abatements and encouraged the assessor to get information onto the website to talk about reassessment and like communicate what was going on. And then last week, the trustees of trust funds met and approved the allocation of funds, or the granting of percent funds to Stores Pond Hanover Improvement Society, just in time for the closing of of the pool next week. But and that's probably bad on my part, because when we made that decision, that recommendation in May, around town meeting time, the board made the recommendation that we support, based on your review of the criteria, that we give 69,000 to Hanover Improvement Society as part of our percent funding. That actually, that recommendation didn't get to the trustees of trust funds until this meeting last week. And so need to do better as the conduit, as
We will do that.
staff, I think, needs to help us with that. The other thing is that we've talked about an application process and how we're gonna make it a little more transparent in terms of opportunities for community, for people within our town government and town staff, as well as the broader Hanover community. We have, I think, close to $300,000 to give away in support of making Hanover a better place. And so there was a draft application that pretty sure staff has, and I think we should move on that sooner than later, so people know that Versets gave this money to enhance programming or create new programs for engagement in our community. So
On that note, if I may, I've drafted guidelines for the allocation of the funds. Ellen has it, and our attorney, Joe.
Kenny?
Works with Laura Spector Morgan. He's been the one working with the
Trustees.
To review it before we present it to the trustees. The goal would be to give them a complete package so that they concur with at least the guidelines, and then we can push out notice on the application process with the guidelines for allocation, so the applicants have some way to know how to fill out the forms.
I'm happy to work with you based on the feedback, and Ellen took notes and so did Tom. And it's a very interesting new board of 3. We've got extreme, middle of the road, other extreme. So it's kind of a woo group. But some of them wanted receipts down to the penny of how the money was being spent by this nonprofits, and others like, we need just a certified letter from the nonprofit saying they're spending the money as they said they were going to spend the money. So I think we need to get the system down so it's rote, and that everyone we feel should be aware of it, is aware of it.
We'll get you that information as soon as possible.
And anything else?
I did want, we started when we did the group assignments, like our committee assignments, who's working in Conservation Commission, who's bike walk, who's trustees of trust funds. I am concerned that the select board should not be taking a leadership role in committees, like walk, trustees, whatever, board of assessors, and I think there should be a policy where we are members, but not leaders, because we come with kind of a certain gravitas as an elected official. And I think that we shouldn't be leading our committees, that other people should do it as part of getting more people involved and engaged, and that we support. And we can certainly speak our minds as members, but we shouldn't be leading those groups. Our leadership roles are here. So I don't know how other people feel about it. We talked around it and about it a couple months ago when we were in May. I think in May or June, because we hunted. But I just wanted to put that out there because I feel pretty strongly that we should not be serving on our committees as chair people or vice chairs, that we shouldn't have leadership. So
Yeah, traditionally changed tradition. But the practice has always been that we're there mostly as facilitators, see that the communities have the right resources. And I do agree with you. There's makes it very confusing.
and I know that I just think it's good governing. I know that we talked about this before. Have here. And there's no statute that says you can't be, the chair of the library commission or the cemetery commission or whatever, as a representative from the select board. I just think that we already are in a leadership role, that even, when you talk to staff, town staff, they look at select boards as, I don't see myself, I just see myself as a citizen. They look at us as, having kind of more power than I think we have, but I just kind of feel like I don't think we should be in that role, whether it's bike walk, whether it's economic development, whether it's how or planning board or conservation commission or CIPC or so. That's my opinion. I'm not sure how the board feels about it, but I think we should consider a policy and discuss it. I don't know if that's something our town staff can support if everyone, and this is my feeling. So
I think the independence of the committees to elect their own chairs and vice chairs has been important. But I can see the arguments against it.
I agree.
I think the big tradition in New Hampshire is that the committees set their own bylaws and they elect their own people.
agree that, you know, you can be scary, Joanna. So, no, I think that, yeah, we misjudge, we can sometimes intimidate. Or, you know, we might take a position that in a committee that when we come back and we're sitting in the select board, it's like, you know, now that I'm hearing different views, different opinions, but I've already voted in favor of this at the committee level, and I was a strong advocate. It's like, you know, it's difficult to step back. So I think we ought to look at a policy like that. So,
Yeah, I think your last point is the strongest one in the sense that the select board acts as a body. It's hard to separate.
The select board acts as a body because it decides on things, and then that decision is the select board's. So that doesn't change. It doesn't change that individuals have different opinions. It would be almost bizarre if everybody had the same opinion about every issue, given that we all come from different perspectives, and I don't think anybody expects us to
Of course we do.
always have a complete consensus.
Of course.
So that doesn't, I don't think it changes that nature of the select board.
I think it changes the nature of the committee.
That's,
Yeah.
That's my issue. Here, we all can agree to disagree. You know, that's kind of our job, is to come up with what we all think is the best thing for the community. But in terms of committees, we have a more power than your typical person, because we're in an elected position versus an appointed, because most of our, with the exception of cemetery commission, right, most of our people. That was kind of a,
committee report.
it was kind of a
Report,
joke.
committee.
Committee of one.
Committee,
I just didn't know where it fit in.
yes, related to
maybe
committees.
this would be, I don't know if it would fit into our offsite.
Sure.
But it might be a good session.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, agreed.
That,
Just a suggestion.
You want to look at a policy along the way, or just wait till our retreat?
I'm sorry.
Look at a policy before that, or wait till the retreat?
doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be a
I mean, we can think about it.
policy.
Come back. Okay. All right, in your spare time, Robert. Thank you. I wanted to follow up on the Nihon Matsu. We got a very nice letter from them. Sorry, was there anything else on that?
Oh. I have one more report.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Howe Corporation, or the Howe Board, we've been meeting, we received 3 proposals to do a space utilization study in to better use the space, the existing footprint of the Howe. It doesn't flow as well as they'd like. There's been some really creative thinking from staff and in terms of surveying their strategic plan. They issued an RFP earlier in the summer. They got 3 proposals, narrowed it to 2. I think a decision was made on Friday. And the work will get started to basically, it's not a huge contract, it's just to come up with ideas to better use the space. Some of them, a couple of the proposals were, take the offices, staff offices, which is on the main floor, that you never go into, and make that the multi-purpose room, because then it's front and center, you can get outside, and it's like easier to access, and then put offices downstairs. So the idea is, what can we do with the footprint within space to be more efficient? And so that work should kick off, I think. They hope to have a contract by September. Sorry, that was a long-winded
Thank you.
session.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I missed the neon monster. Thank you all for joining in, but we did get a very nice note for them, expressing their gratitude to the people of Hanover for making this wonderful exchange program possible this year. And they especially appreciated the opportunity to interact with host families from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds through homestays, which they found to be an invaluable experience for their students. It was nice, warm letters. I just share a little bit of the highlights. This was kind of a patchwork effort to support this. You know, it was more Dartmouth thing. And I think you could probably best characterize this as a Dartmouth Town of Hanover joint venture at this point. But that's true for funding as well. And so I'm thinking to your comment about Reset that this might be something that maybe because we didn't go to them this year, but and the stopgap funding was very generous, but it's not sustainable. So we might think about it in the context of Reset for some ongoing support.
Yeah, and going back to Brissette, one of the trustees felt that if the town was already doing something that we should not be using funds, we should not be going to Brissette. So
this was not the town, so. But
okay,
anyway,
I just that was
a donor, very generous donor. So, but not something that we want to rely on.
Right.
Yes.
okay.
So, okay. Right. Office.
Nothing.
Okay. Jared.
Just a couple things from downtown. So Matt, who runs J. Crew, he's GM, General Manager J. Crew, has done an awesome job with marketing. The Explorer, as well as Yuri, who's a Dartmouth student, who's helped out. And our website, explorehanovernh.com, is going up in the Google rankings and getting more views every month. Instagram, we have a reach of about 78,000, which is pretty awesome. The sidewalk sale was really successful. Numbers comparable to Black Friday and graduation. About 500 people came in. Yeah, everyone who participated, there were 18 participants, retailers, and everyone said it was like a super strong day for them. So pretty cool. And a lot of that goes back to the marketing and building those events up. A couple interesting things in the works. So for a long time, the downtown community has been trying to get into Dartmouth orientation and basically been getting the Heisman from the people who run orientation, because the students are already like super programmed. So we decided, hey, let's stop focusing on that. Let's focus on the broader community. And so Ian, who runs the fourth place, is taking the lead on Welcome Day. So this is going to be October 4th, which is a Saturday, first Saturday in October. And not only is it focused on Dartmouth students, but also new faculty, new people at the hospital. Anybody that's new to the area.
It's the welcome wagon.
It's the welcome, yeah, exactly. So we're welcoming people into town. So there's going to be, a bunch of restaurants and retailers that are going to have offers. We're working on some live music and working with Parks and Rec on different things to make it over welcoming.
All day on the 4th?
We're looking 12 to 7 right now.
Great.
And then kind of to keep that going, we're looking at doing a recurring monthly event, which would be first Friday's already taken. So we're looking at second Saturday. So the second Saturday of every month, doing an event in town with, again, some live music, extended store hours, offers from stores, just a way to welcome the community into the downtown. A couple other pieces of news. So Tracy from UVBA moved on to her next role. She's running an Airbnb now. Not an Airbnb, sorry. She's running a B&B, bread and breakfast. So the search is on for the new executive director of the UVBA. No decisions have been made as far as I know. We're excited about the downtown police services division and some of the progress that they've made in parking. And then we've kind of revamped the structure of that downtown group. Still under UVBA, but we've streamlined some of the positions and stuff like that. And then based on the discussion we had about 10 minutes ago, maybe we'll be looking for a new leader of that. Couple other things, so good work with, or Rob's been doing great work with the potential for 5G in the downtown.
The RF analysis is underway. So we reached out to Green Mountain Communications, who does tower install and antenna install for Verizon, among others. They met with me, evaluated our water tanks, evaluated our buildings in the downtown, and looked at our parking garage, and is looking at an off-site location for a potential tower. They're going to do an RF analysis. They were actually very surprised at how poor the service was, given how Verizon represents it, and the analysis that what they've concluded is as it went from 3G to 4G to 5G, the demand for data that comes out of each one of them grows in a way that shrinks the level of service, and that wasn't represented in the coverage map. So Verizon's been not that aggressive, but I think Green Mountain is very responsive so far. The challenge will be the permitting process, frankly. The locations in which towers are permitted are the I zone and the F zone. Everything else requires a variance.
A variance. So does that mean we need to work on some zoning
Yes,
changes?
we do.
Okay.
But in the meantime, in order to get cell coverage,
Yeah.
because it requires relief, and where the site they're looking at is our old next to Guile Hill, next to the recycling facility that the college runs. It has a line of sight to downtown. It's a mile and a half closer, than the tower. It is located on the smokestack at Dartmouth Hitchcock or Dartmouth Hill, and the RF analysis will reveal what the elevation needs to be and what kind of coverage we can get. And then from that, we can build a repeater system. We don't have enough height in the downtown. They did ask about a 150-foot tower in the back parking lot. I said, I'd be happy to pitch it, but I probably won't be in the chair that long if I do. So they're looking at everything we can do to get 5G in the downtown.
And Oak Hill's too far away.
Oak Hill, they looked at
Balch.
They looked at Balch, the water tank at Balch, the water tank at Sand Hill, and the water tank at Greensboro, in addition to other assets.
No, it's just a little.
It's already in the white church.
It's already in the white church.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how the white church is still there.
So
But
it's in the
honestly,
white
there's
church.
3 towers. Free cell service.
Yeah, already in the white church. They
It's
looked
not
at this
enough.
building, they looked at our tower on this building, they looked at all the options we could give. We looked at RW Black, the Summer Park. We pushed everything we could.
There used to be a radio tower behind Baker, taller than Baker.
We're not doing that.
I mean, I think the college has been approached more than once on a range of locations, and the challenge is how does it fit into their broader plan? And the issue is really access. Verizon wants to control access.
Why are we just talking Verizon?
We're not, we're talking all of them.
Okay, good.
Green Mountain is a tower builder that sells the
Thank you.
It's a huge antenna too.
Yeah.
It's like a twin mattress.
Yeah, the antennas for 5Gs are not these little stealthy, narrow.
It's a forest, not one of those fig trees.
More public Wi-Fi is coming along, so that in the downtown, so that's great. And then Ledyard Park, Paul Simon was hired as a project manager. So a little hiccup there with some of the construction, but it's moving. And so
Great, thank you. Terrific. Any other items, Rob? I know we have a need for a non-public, anything prior to that?
Nothing at this time.
Nick, thank you very much. We are gonna move into, well, let's make the motion.
I move we move into non-public session to discuss items pursuant to RSA 91:1:3, Roman numeral 2, A, B,
Seconds. I will second all this, roll call, my name.
Burke, aye.
Gracias, yes.
Callahan, yes.
Yes.
Chamberlain, yes.
We're in
All right, we are in
non-public.
non-public. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
Did we have anyone on Zoom?